Hey everybody, welcome back to the Hardcore Fab Shop. On today's Tips and Tools Tuesday video, I have this bad boy to show you. This is a Porta Power from Harbor Freight. It's the Daytona version that they have over there. They've got several, but this is the one I decided to go with. And in today's video, I got a car that I'm working on that I need to do some pushing on to try to get straight and back out. It was a wreck, and we're trying to fix it up for the wife. So long story short, I need to do some pushing, and my old Porta Power junked out on me. I got nothing. And it's an old Chinese thing that I bought like 20 years ago off of a truckload sale. So fixing it's probably not really an option. And just went over there today and bought this from Harbor Freight. And I figured if I'm buying this new from Harbor Freight, we got to go ahead and make a video about it and see if this thing's any good or not and share it with you guys. So that's where we're at. So I guess we should talk about what this tool even actually is for those that may not know. And it's basically a hand-powered hydraulic system that's all enclosed into this right here. We don't need to plug this thing in. We don't need to run it off of any kind of PTO or motor or anything like that. It is hand-driven hydraulics. So what's that mean? Okay, well, let's kind of dig out a few pieces here. So this thing right here is the pump. And it's got a lever on it, just like a jack. So as you pump this, and I shouldn't be trying to pump it without it having hooked anything up, but as you would pump it, it's going to pump hydraulic fluid through the system there, and it's going to come out the other end of the hose. The other end of the hose is then going to attach to a cylinder. So I'm looking at all this here fresh from everything, but it's pretty much the same as my old one here. We get this off of here. Then we can plug our cylinder into our pump. Like I said, hand driven, so there's no motor or PTO or electric motors to worry about or anything like that. And this one is a 4-ton unit. And I chose the Daytona for a couple of reasons. There's they have a Pittsburgh, and then they have, maybe that's all they have is Pittsburgh. I took video of what other ones were there. Let me show you what ones were there when I was there. So yeah, they do have the Daytona. That's the bigger 10-ton version of what it is that I bought. It is a little bit more expensive, so I opted out of that one just basically because of the price. They do have a cheaper version of that, which is about the same price as what I gave for the one I bought, but that one doesn't have the extra little smaller cylinder in there to do some of those other pushes that I haven't been able to do in the past, and this one here does that I bought. I went ahead and went with the Daytona version of that because the Daytona really does have a pretty good reputation when it comes to their jacks, and I'm hoping that will translate over into being a nicer, better Porta Power as well. That'll last us a little bit of time here. So it looks like this thing does come with a gauge too. My other one did not have a gauge on it. I don't know why it's not actually already attached to the pump, but yeah. Oil fill gauge, so that's kind of nice. It looks like, will it fit in here with the gauge on it? It looks as if it would, so I guess I'm going to go ahead and put this gauge on there. I don't understand, again, why they wouldn't just go ahead and have it on there, but whatever. I'll have to get some wrenches to take that loose. I'll be right back. Wasn't ready for that to have some hydraulic fluid coming out of it. Let's see, just out of curiosity, and make sure this lid still closes. Okay, it seems like it's going to, so we're going to leave that on there, and I'm going to actually see if I can go find some thread tape and put on that gauge so that we don't have a leak there. I just screwed that in there for now because it did have a little bit of hydraulic fluid dripping out. So let me get that taken care of, flash you guys back, and then we'll actually talk more about how this thing works and put it to the test. Okay, after I took the gauge back off there, it actually did have a flared end on the bottom of it, so I just was able to tighten it. It didn't need any thread tape on it. Probably said that in some instructions somewhere, but let's be real, I'm not reading those. So, anyhow, moving forward, a little bit of a drip right there. I'm gonna wipe that off. Let me keep an eye on it, make sure it's not leaking. We'll get it all wet right off the bat, then we'll never know. So, all right, back to what this thing does. So, yes, this is a mini hydraulic system. This over here is going to release our pressure off of it. Our pump is this here, and it just pumps like a jack. And just like a jack that has a hydraulic cylinder in it, we've got a piece that'll come out right here as we jack. Pretty straightforward. So that allows us to do lots and lots of things. Now, in our situation that we're going to be doing here today, I've got a car that's been wrecked, like I said, and I need to straighten up some of the hinges on it. So I'm going to be going across the door opening. So to be able to do that, there's these poles and these extensions here that will go right onto here like this. So now, instead of just having this cylinder here, we've got the same amount of throw that's going to come out of the cylinder, but we're pushing it in a lot longer area. So we'll be able to stretch that out across the doorway and make that work. Before we go over there and do that though, let me show you a couple other things that's in here that's pretty cool. There's a number of different feet in here that will allow you to, put a foot on the end of this to get kind of whatever you're wanting to have go on here at the end of it. That one's just a flat one. Say you need to reach around something. We've got one here with a little bit of a foot going on there. Say you want to put that pressure out there onto a bigger space. Instead of just concentrating it on this circle right here, we got a lot bigger foot there to spread that out a lot. So that's definitely a good thing to have. And then we've got stuff we want to concentrate it down onto a shaft or a shaft. We've got a big rubber piece here that'll go on the end that'll keep it from marring it up some if that needs to be an option. And there's even more extensions in here on these poles. This last foot over here is a pretty cool option that I wasn't even aware that it had. It took me a second to figure out what was going on there, but it allows us to thread onto here. If I can thread it on there. There we go. And then once that's threaded on there, you could potentially get this underneath something if you needed to lift something or whatever and go up with it and do something like that. That would be really a pretty cool option on a lot of things. Kind of along that same note is this other cylinder over here. So we don't necessarily have to use this cylinder. We've got multiple ones here. Put this back on here to protect these threads. So we could take this cylinder back off here. We could use this little guy right here. And honestly, this is one of the reasons why I chose this particular set is because of this little guy right here. Very, very convenient to be able to get that into a lot of little places and be able to push and open up something if you needed to. I didn't have that option with my other one, and there was a number of times where that could have been a thing. I did have this option here. It's kind of a reverse claw, I guess, if you will, or a wedge. Probably a wedge would be more appropriate. So you could shove that into something, and then as you jack this up and put some pressure on it, it actually opens both arms up like this. We might plug it in here in a second and show you what that looks like. But that does a lot of what this is doing, but when you've got it out here on the end like that, you lose a lot of leverage on there. So you're going to get a lot more strength out of this, going in there and doing that than you would here. So different options for different things, just depends on what it is that your needs are. But my needs today, like I said, is to try to push around some door hinges on a car. So let me grab some of this stuff up. and we'll go over there to the car and see how it does. So here's our car. This is a Buick LaCrosse. It got smacked right here in that door right there, and it messed up that door too. But we got the back door just to go on and just replace pretty easy. No big deal there. But this door is not working. The hinges in this area right here have been kind of compressed and pushed in and kind of tweaked that way. So we've got this kind of going at an angle. Hopefully that'll push that out and twist it around as it comes. So that's our goal here with that. Put you guys down on the tripod and push on this thing a little bit here, and we'll see what happens. It is definitely moving. I don't know if you guys can see it or not, but it is. And I have never seen the gauge hardly move other than just a little bit there. We are slowly going. I'm going to tap on that now with a hammer. Try to help relieve some of the stress through this post right here. And also it's kind of pulled out on the back side, so I'm going to beat on it back here in this area to try to help push that back in. It's also straightening out the hinge. The hinge had a big bow in it. Now the hinge is pretty well straight, so that's a good thing too. So for those of you at home are wondering what we're doing here, this whole post is kind of just twisted in a little bit. We were able to get on the back side of it and push directly out. We've got the Porta Power going in there off the transmission tunnel now. And then we've got a 1x8 or 2x8 that's spanning about this far across the whole tunnel on the transmission tunnel there to help spread the load out. Well guys, there you go, another one in the books here, and I'm gonna have to say that we could not have done it without the Porta Power that we bought from Harbor Freight, so I guess that means that it's a good one. At least it was a good one on this project anyways. We'll keep using it in the future, and if something different changes from that, then we'll probably let you know, but for now we're gonna say it's good, and I think the car is pretty close to being good, at least as good as it can be. I hate to tell you this, but when I was driving down the highway with this door in the back of my truck, it actually flew out of the back of the truck at 80 miles an hour, which is why the mirror is busted off of it. And it's a little tweaked and a little goofy on just this particular door. And there ain't much more that I can do with it because of that. So kind of is what it is. We're a little out of alignment on a couple of spots. And we've got a couple extra scrapes and dents and dings here and there that we didn't have before, but I think it's gonna work for now, and it'll get us by. So anyways, appreciate you guys watching and following along, and we'll see you guys on the next Tips and Tools Tuesday video.